Tonight on DFY Magic Themes, we're going to talk about WordPress website security. Well, a very good evening to you. Hope you had a wonderful week. First in the room tonight was Bob, followed by Laurie, Richard, then Stefan, Eric. So good evening to all of you. I don't think I've missed anybody. Tonight we're talking about WordPress security and why it's important. And also I put in the group a little note about password security, so we'll talk about that and a lot more here on DFY Magic Themes live for you. Hello, good evening, and welcome wherever you may be.
Happy Friday. Doesn't even feel like Friday this week, Steve.
You look a bit knackered.
I am so tired. I might not snot off. I'm telling you.
It's always one of those weeks where we've done so much within DFY Magic Themes, and I've been busy working away with the devs, getting some things sorted out and updated. It's endless. We'll talk about some of those things on the inner circle when we switch over. But I wanted to talk about making sure what you do is secure. So in the group, we mentioned that the post itself, and I was going to go back and look at it, was all this data, 26 billion records of data has been leaked to the interweb. Now, I use a product called LastPass, and LastPass saves all my passwords for me. Every site I do now, I have a different username on each site, and I have a different password on each site. And that way, then I'm secure with all my social media channels. I've got two-factor authentication. So that way, then, yes, it's annoying that you get a bleep on your phone or a accept this button on your phone, something like that. But this little tip with LastPass, if you use the same username everywhere, right, when you do subdomains inside of WordPress and you have a different password each time you click save, it'll overwrite the master password for the front end and any others. So you have to be sort of careful as you do these things. So I have a different username for every installation of WordPress I do. I have a different password every single time. All my passwords now are different. I used to do a sequence of numbers, then my normal password, and then I would go up like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've stopped doing that now. I let LastPass generate me the password automatically. And that way, then I don't have to worry about these things, because there's nothing worse than your own data getting out there, and especially a breach like this. If you use the same password across multiple accounts and the same email address and the same user, it becomes a bit of an issue, because people can guess your Facebook login, your Twitter login, and this is how accounts get hacked at the end of the day. And it's the same with WordPress now. While someone could hack your site because they've guessed the username and password. Always have a backup of your site somewhere, because at least you can go into the hosting, you can remove WordPress and reinstall it and restore back the site. But ultimately, if you want two forms of sort of protection, one is put WordFence on your site. I use the free version of WordFence, and it's sort of brute force attacks and stuff like that. If you want to be extra secure, and this is down to personal preference, you can use various other services, online DNS services, that can help you. But just make sure that you fully protect yourself on what you're doing across all your accounts. If you are somebody that uses the same password and username, go in and update that information. I have on one of my domain names multiple email addresses that just forward to my main email address. So when I'm logging into my various accounts, it's a different email address each time. And that way then people can't guess it. So my Facebook one's different to my Twitter, and the same with YouTube. All of these accounts are different on purpose, just to protect myself. And I've never had anyone hack my Facebook account. I've never had anyone hack anything. Now, could someone get into LastPass? Maybe, because all the passwords are in there. But I've got such a long secure password, and also I've installed their app on my phone. So every time I log in with my password to LastPass, it asks me to verify on the authentication on my phone. And then the final note with your mobile phones, that only install applications that you know are safe, that you recognize. I don't know what you want to add to that, Robert?
I'm old school. So I use LastPass. However, I don't put anything on the computer that has to deal with my bank or anything that financial. Those are written down. I just don't. I rather not think that somebody can get through my computer, because I know they can. It's just a matter of how badly they want to get into your stuff. That's the bottom line. And unfortunately, that's just the way the world is. But that's how I handle it. If it's banking details, if it's not in my head, it's written down in a place that I can go get to it.
Because they're saying Dropbox, Adobe, LinkedIn, Deezer, MySpace, Canva, they're some of them. So if you own any of those accounts, and go to anyone who's watching this is already inside one of our groups. If you're on Facebook, so if you're on YouTube, go to dfymagicthemes.com/FB. It takes you to our main Facebook group, where you can go in there and see the article. And it's really important, just to safeguard yourself, because we're in a digital age now. My parents, my mum's forever moaning about the supermarkets now want you to have an app, right? And that app in turn, is so you can save money on your groceries. And my mum says it's unfair on older people who don't want mobile phones. But it's the way the world's going, and you just have to accept the fact that that's what it is. And another thing I try not to do too much of is share family life on social media. I will occasionally put some posts up. My older kids are forever putting up images of their brothers and sisters and information about themselves. Our eldest son, for a while, had available in public our address on his Facebook listing. And in the end, I had to say to him, "You've got to hide your address." Now, can someone find me through my business details? Yeah, they can. Am I worried? No. Because I'm careful with the email addresses that are online and available to the public are different to the ones I use on my other accounts. So I'm extra cautious there.
It's a tough world that we live in, because look, we're sharing digital documents all the time. We have to. It's part of the internet. So what's on those documents, that's what you have to be careful of. Am I sharing something that's going to make a difference to my financial world? if somebody else
Yeah.
has it. That's where it gets tricky. And again, these dark web cyber attacks, whatever you want to call them, they're out there, and when they want to strike, they will. Sarah had put in a message that she had something to share, some kind of a hack. If you wanted to bring her in.
Yeah. If you raise your virtual hand, Sarah, and then you'll jump to the top of my screen, and then we can bring you in. Bear with me. Add to spotlight. Ask to unmute.
I do, but I'm not quite finished with it yet. So.
Oh.
Okay. Wait, can you come back to me in like in 2 minutes? Because
We'll come back to you when we can.
okay, thanks.
All right, no problem.
So at the end of the day, everything you say, everything that you have conversations around your phone, around your I'm losing track of the name of the damn things. The things that are around the house, your hotspots for Wi-Fi. Google what are they called? Google what?
You're talking about like Amazon Echoes and
Yeah,
devices like
all
that.
the hotspots that are always listening, so that you
Yeah.
hey Google do this, hey Google do that. They're listening to what you're saying and what you're talking about. You could have a completely unique conversation with someone in front of your phone that you've never talked about before in your entire life, and within minutes to a couple hours, you're going to start getting advertisements about what you were talking about because they are listening.
Yeah.
And it's just like an ongoing thing. So it's not just security about your passwords, about your computer, about what you're putting on your websites. It's what you're talking about. It's the devices that are listening to you. And we used to think people were crackpots because they were, trying to go off the grid and do this and do that.
Yeah.
They're the ones that were ahead of the times, right? Because now they're the ones that are protecting themselves. Like I saw a Facebook post and I thought it was unique. A guy went out in one of the low areas of easily flooded because they were close to rivers in the United States. And he went out and he bought himself a homemade dam system. And if you've never seen what those are, they're like giant tubes, like rubberized tubes that they fill up with water. And they create a way to stop water from coming in. That show where they were doing the gold digging, they kept putting those dams in to stop the tidal waters so that they could dig and search different areas looking for gold. And they used those great big water dams, the same thing. So this guy buys them, brings them into his area, and he puts it all the way around his house. So it's like the reverse of having a moat around your property. It's just this great big water dam. And the picture I saw on Facebook the other day was his house was high and dry behind this great big dam, and all the neighbors' houses were flooded. And all the neighbors were saying, well, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? He just had a fear that that river was going to come and flood his property. So he was proactive, put the thing in, and he saved his house where everybody else was flooded out. So I don't know what's right, what's wrong, but when it comes to security, there's never enough. But at the same time, you have to protect what you have. And slowly but surely, we're going back to the old West where you put everything under your mattress and you sleep with a gun under your pillow. Because that's the safest thing you can do. So let's see. I think it's Sarah say she was back.
In a moment, in the chat in the circle group, Lane's gone and but Lane have a problem keeping track of all your emails. He said he uses getmailbird.com and now he can use all email addresses and contacts, WhatsApps and Skypes and more, saves him a lot of time.
Good tip.
He doesn't have to constantly go through all the different screens. He's not an affiliate, by the way, so might be worth having a look. And I know Eric's mentioned to me, and I haven't had a chance to check it out myself. I've been so busy with support calls and other bits and pieces. Let me just share my screen for people to see this. This little plugin here. So this is called ASE. You can go to wpase.com and you can change your URL of WordPress so that people can't use WP admin, which is a great tip. And there's a whole bunch of other things you can do with this, disable comments and stuff. It's a great little plugin to get. My understanding is there's a free version and then there's a paid version. So we're not an affiliate either, but I just thought, our members find these little golden nuggets, so you can switch this on and then create your own URL instead of WP admin. It could be your name or something, for an example, so bots can't find the standard WP admin. And we've talked about WP admin in the past also, on the point of view that when you think about these things, don't use admin. I try not to use the info email address because it's the most spam one ever. Come up with something different for your business. If you're a plumber, then you could bestplumbing@yourdomainname.com. Think out the box a little bit to try and stop these bots from getting to you. So, Lane can share his screen. So if you put your virtual hand up, Lane, which is under reactions, and we will bring him in. Hopefully I can find him somewhere in the I found you. If I add you to Spotlight, ask you to unmute, and bear with me while I just move a couple of other boxes. Just bear with me, Lane, while I press the right buttons a minute. I think up here. Where has he gone? There we are. I give you privileges. You can. How you doing? How you doing, Lane? You have to unmute yourself, buddy. You're muted.
I wasn't sure. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. And
yes.
I was watching on Facebook, forgot to switch over to Zoom.
That's all right. I put the comment in there to remind people, so it's good. So will this show any of your own data? If you think it's going to, then what we'll do is save your demo for the inner circle only. If you
save that. Save for inner circle only, please.
Okay, we'll do that, and that way then it's more just for the members inside. We can see how you use it then. All right. So we'll come back.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, we'll see you in about. We'll bring you in about 10 minutes.
Oh, you can't see it now? I was sharing my screen already.
We can't see your share yet, but I don't know if you wanted to come. You said in the circle only, so don't share anything because we don't want to give anything away to all our groups.
Okay, all right.
All right, we'll bring you back in a bit, all right?
No worries, thank you.
Thank you, Lane. Right, I'm just going to make the Spotlight. Right, do that. Right, cool. So we'll bring Lane in, and he can show us on the inner circle with that. And Eric says it also changes the photo to a different photo without changing the file name, or you're a great fit for your templates. Well, great idea. I'm going to have a proper look at that in the week, guys. So that's the...
Can I? Here's what I'm going to say. For anybody building done for you magic themes, hold off on the real high security until the theme is built.
Yeah.
Because if you need help, and we try to log in for support, sometimes the devs can't get in, and it becomes a nightmare, especially if there's two-person and this security and that security, and we can't help. We can't get in. So during the build, you're not insecure. It's just that once you're set and settled, then you put on the security.
Robert, I know you wanted to talk about putting some sort of plugin in to stop people accessing the front end while you're doing the build.
Oh, that's true. Different form of security, but for us, it's altogether different in that we want to protect the builds when you're originally starting from being indexed incorrectly. Why would you want to hesitate from being indexed, right? Well, you want to hesitate if it's got the wrong information or the wrong company data, if you will, because it does take a while for Google to come back around and get it corrected. You want to give Google as much as you possibly can corrected out the gate. So that's why we like to put all our builds as soon as they're installed, because they are a website at that point, but they're not finished, under construction. And it tells Google just to wait. You're there, you're live, but you're working on the site. So then they don't crawl it. They don't look at, even though they could, what's being done, because they know it's about to change.
Yeah.
Isn't there a setting? It's usually a WordPress. Well, no, the setting, yes, you can. That is true, Michael. There's a setting you can tell Google not to index this site. I don't like that, because I have a feeling it stays for a while, and it might take a while to get the site indexed.
Not just that, right? Also, it doesn't always hide the site. Even if you go into WordPress and you actually read what it says there, it says this may not stop search engines from indexing you anyway. So it's better to use a plugin like Robert's saying, because that way then anyone going to the website is going to get under construction on the front end. Then you do all your work, you set everything up in admin, you do all the things you have to do, make sure you're happy. And then before you move on to doing backlinks and citations, make it live. So as soon as you've done all the standard stuff, your name, address, and phone number, and the site's up and ready, then you can make it live. So
it depends on how far you're going with what's in that content. If you're completely restructuring a site with content, and the site started out to be, bees and birds or whatever, and you're going to go to cats and dogs, let's tell Google from the beginning, after the construction is taken down, that this site's about cats and dogs, because that's the difference. So keep that in mind, and then that's how we're training that one little step going forward.
Ivan in the Zoom chat says, after installing version 9A update themes, I could not log in anymore, but Greg from support solved it. Yeah, Greg's fantastic on support. He's taken a lot of pressure off from me and Robert. We get tons of messages on Messenger every day, right? And we keep saying we have to say to our members, we're not being rude if we don't respond to support messages inside of Messenger, because we don't always have time. So by having a support ticket in, it means that Greg can answer it. If you want one of us, put a note in the support ticket, by all means, saying, I'd really like Robert to answer this question if he's got time. And then Greg can come and ask us, direct to Robert or me, and say, oh, so-and-so's asked you about this, and we can respond to Greg, and he can put the answers inside the tickets for us. So it makes our life easier. If you think that, if we had 10 messages a day on Messenger from people who need support, I would not have the time to do training. I would not have the time to help sort out any issues, any technical issues. And there's a bunch of things that end up mounting up that happen. And a while back, the people who are doing this aren't in the group anymore. They've moved on to other things. But we had somebody who would message me. If they didn't get the answer they liked, they then message Robert. And me and Robert are two different people, so sometimes we have different ideas with things. So me and Robert brought in the rule that we will not answer support questions inside a messenger, right? We'll Greg will ring me and go, oh, there's a support ticket you really need to answer, and I'll go and have a look. But it means that way that it's just freed us up on stuff. So
well, in all fairness, for any of you, right? Think about your own business. Think about what you're doing going forward. And as you put more and more sites out, more and more phone numbers and more, it's like, how do you handle it all? It becomes sensory overload when things are binging and bonging, and you don't think you get addicted to that stuff, but you actually do. And personal example, when I'm done for my day, hell's gonna freeze over before I get a message, because I take my phone, I leave it in my office, and I walk away from it. I go to bed with a clear head, knowing that my phone is not next to me. In the meantime, my wife has her phone in the bedroom with us, and it's binging and turning on, and the lights are going on all the time. I just don't do that anymore. And it used to be we always kept our phones because the kids were young, and if they needed us and they were out late or something, yeah, that made sense. But not anymore. They're all grown up. My phone stays in my office. I come in the next morning, usually very early, and it's not an issue for me anymore. But the messages, if you're focused, and I make a lot of mistakes because when I lose focus of what I'm in the process of doing, and the messenger's going off, and that's going off, and the other screen, and it's like you can't focus on what you're doing. So I shut it off. I walk away from it. I turn it off because then I can get work done. So it's not that we're being rude. It's not that we're being unresponsive. We're just focused on the things that gotta get done. And this week for me, Steven's always this way, but this week for me was a lot to get done in a short amount of time. And I didn't know how long it was going to really take. I didn't have that answer. Because in the accountability program, we're doing the materials for you that you're receiving this week, right? We just did it last week. We're literally 1 week ahead of you guys. And as we were talking earlier, Steven and I, how long does it take to get you guys 1 minute of video as a product of what we're doing ahead of you? And I'm going to assume or estimate for every minute of video training that you guys get in the members area, there's probably 5 or 10 minutes of actual time that we spent doing that to get it to you in the members area, in addition to doing the same work you're doing during the week. So to make this a success, to make this as fast as possible to get you guys from point A to point Z, is to stay on track. Hold everybody accountable to what we're doing, but yet at the same time be accountable to what we're doing for you guys. And that's how we're focused on this. So if we don't answer a message, if we don't get to the support ticket as quickly as you'd like to, we're doing our best for how the whole process is going. So when Steve and I say, well, let's put a poll up in the group and let's just do a temperature check. Is everybody behind? Is everybody okay? Is everybody completely lost? And if we see everybody's okay, we continue on. If we see the mass majority are like, oh my God, what are we doing? Then we're going to back off and we're going to fix it. We're going to find out what's going on. And so they're simple questions. They're usually yes, no, or they're, like this, as long as you've received the message, something quick and easy. But for us, the accountability program, for you guys to be a success, as much as we want that for you, you have to help us so that we know the temperature and how much you can handle, how much you can't for all the times that you're in. So I think what I'm seeing is we're right on point. And you guys can all chime in with a 1 if you think it's perfect pace, or a 2 if there's no way in hell you're ever going to finish it. In the chat, just any of you that are here in the accountability group at the same time. So is the amount of work for the amount of time you have sufficient, or is it we're giving you too much too fast? That's always the question.
While they're putting questions in there, there's one question I want to nip back on quickly. and then I'm going to then we're going to switch to the inner circle to carry on talking about this. So Ivan sent me a direct message, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing. He said, I've been prospecting possible customers to the Google My Business website idea that you gave on the last lot of settings, last training, but unfortunately I'm not getting much of a response. Well, this is what you need to do, Robert, and everyone else is inner circle only, sorry.
That's the natural DJ in Stephen. He can't help himself.
Talking to DJs, you can join me on Wednesday, 6 p.m. UK time. RockingDaddiesRadio.com.
What a segue.